Hello, everyone, and welcome to Alumni Talks. My name is Zornica, and I'll be the moderator of this online session on behalf of the school selection platform Unimai. The topic of today's webinar is the MBA in International Management at ESCP Business School, a top MBA program available at 6 locations across Europe. I would like to thank you all for joining us and to welcome our speakers today, Hélène Frangel, Marketing Manager of the MBA in International Management Program at ESCP, and Erika Cortel, Director of Climate Change and Sustainability Services at Ernst & Young, ESCP MBA alumna, class 2021, and also founder of the ESCP Women in Leadership Society. We'll start with a presentation of the ESCP MBA in International Management and its advantages, and which will be followed by a panel discussion in which Erika will share with us more about her academic experience and how it contributed to her professional development. At the end of the webinar, we'll have an open Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can use the Q&A option at the bottom of your screen and ask your questions. We'll take the time to address them accordingly. Now I would like to give the word to Hélène to present herself and the MBA in International Management at ESCP.
So hi everyone, very happy to be here for this information session. So yes, I'm Hélène Frangel and I'm a marketing manager for the MBA in International Management at ESCP Business School. So yes, my goal today is to present the program, like explain what we offer, like the opportunities that our MBA graduates can have after the program. And I'm here today with our former student, Erika Cortel, who just finished her MBA a few months ago. So we thought that this could be very interesting for you, like to meet her and to ask her questions and understand why she decided to study at ESCP and how it changed her life. So what I can do is I'm going to share my screen and present the program quite shortly, and then I will have a little chat with Erika. So let me share my screen. Erika, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes, perfect.
All right, so this is the presentation. So a few words about ESCP in general. So ESCP is the world's oldest business school, and our DNA is extremely international because we have 6 campuses in Europe. So obviously, and you will understand how it works, our MBA students also have to study in different cities. So it's very exciting and obviously very good for your curriculum to be confronted to different cultures during your program. We have in total over 8,000 students representing 122 countries. I'm not lying when I say that we are very international. Also, in terms of professors, we have more than 170 research active professors of more than 33 nationalities. We also have a lot of alliances with other partner universities in Europe and in the world. And obviously, one figure that's very important for you if you want to join ESCP is that you become part of a growing network. Right now, we have around 68,000 alumni. Obviously, we have more and more each year. They really live worldwide, and they are very active because we really ask them to help our students. They are partnered with our students to actually help them, give them tips on how to find a job, maybe offer some job offers. So yes, a very large, very international network. So a little bit more about our MBA. This is a very intensive 10-month full-time program. So you have to understand that you have to dedicate 10 months of your life, of your professional life, to actually stop working and study this MBA. I will explain a little bit later that you don't really stop working, but more to that a little bit later in the presentation. So yes, 10 months that you dedicate completely to studying this MBA. And what's very particular about the MBA at ESCP is that you study 1 semester in one country and 1 semester in another country. So we are really looking for candidates that are very attracted to this international aspect, who are not afraid to be confronted to people from different cultures and to study in 2 different countries. And on top of those 2 countries, you will also have a choice of electives that are offered over 7 countries, or six campuses, and also 1 elective that is offered in Beirut, Lebanon. Another aspect that's very important when I mention that you don't really stop working is that you actually work as a part-time consultant during the program. This is called the Company Consultancy Project. We will explain a little bit more later what this is exactly, but yes, you will have to lead consultancy projects in 2 different countries during the program. Our class sponsor is a very prestigious firm, Cartier. So we have a lot of events with them. They also offer to hire some of our top students. So we're obviously very proud to have such a prestigious partner as a sponsor. Yes, a little bit about the rankings. We are ranked number 6 worldwide for diversity. I will explain also that our class is extremely diverse. And during the course of the program, you will follow 4 seminars. And of course, when you're looking for programs, you really want to pay attention to the accreditations that the schools have. So yes, I mentioned that during this MBA, you study in 2 countries of your choice. So we have 6 campuses all across Europe. And during this MBA, you will study during the first semester, either in London, Paris, or Turin, and during the second semester in Berlin, Madrid, or Paris. You cannot do Paris, because the real point of the program is that you study in one country first and then in another country, because it would be extremely useful for you to actually be confronted to 2 different ways of working, to 2 different cultures. So the classes are 100% in English everywhere. So you really want to focus on the country that you're attracted to, on where you maybe want to work after the program. So yes, I was talking about the diversity of the class. You have a few figures here about the current class. So yes, 20 nationality for 72 students. I think that's a very good rate to prove that we are very international. We're also very proud to have 40% of women. This is better than most MBA programs worldwide. So we're aiming for 50%, obviously, but 40% is already not so bad. And yes, we want diversity in terms of nationalities and genders, but we also want diversity in terms of backgrounds. As you can see on the right part of the screen, our students come from very, very diverse backgrounds, because it's going to be very useful for you to actually work in a group with people who studied very different things, who do not think like you. And you have to understand that just because people do not think like you, it doesn't mean that they're wrong. So you will be, let's say, for example, you are an engineer from Morocco, and you will work in a group with someone who studied law in Germany and someone who studied economics in Russia. So yes, this will be sometimes maybe a little bit complicated at first, but it will be extremely useful, because, well, then when you start working after the MBA, you will work with people with very different backgrounds. So it's a very good training to actually do that during the MBA. So a little bit more about the core courses. So I told you they have classes on the first semester in London, Paris, or Turin, and in the second semester in Berlin, Madrid, and Paris. So here you will cover all the main aspects of management. At the end of the MBA, you need to be a manager that is able to handle anything, pretty much. So yes, you will cover everything from marketing to business development to finance, everything. And you can see that you have some optional classes. We strongly recommend that our students follow language classes, because even though the program is taught entirely in English, yes, if you want to work in a country, it's usually quite hard to work in this country if you don't speak the language. I mean, your career prospects are going to be limited. It's not impossible, but let's say if you want to work in France, well, you will have a lot more opportunities if you speak French. And if you speak fluent French, I'm not talking about an A1, A2 level. I mean, if you want to work in France, it's really better to have a C1 level in French. Same in Germany, for example, same in Spain. So that's why we strongly recommend our students take language classes. And you also have one other optional class, that is negotiation dynamics. And at the end of the year, around June, July, you will get to follow 4 electives amongst this portfolio. So you could totally say that you want to follow 1 elective in Berlin, 1 in Madrid, 1 in Paris, and 1 in Warsaw, for example. You really choose your electives according to your taste, to what you want to, where you want to dig a little bit deeper. See, so here, it's up to you to see which electives you want to follow, and so each elective is actually quite short. I mean, it's 12 hours each, so it means that you study this elective over the course of 2 to 3 days. So it's actually quite easy to study electives in different cities, because you only need to spend 2 to 3 days in Berlin, in Madrid, in Paris, etc. So yes, I was talking a little bit about the company consultancy projects. When you study at ESCP for your MBA, so you will have all your classes, but you will work as a part-time consultant on real business cases. It means at the beginning of the semester, a lot of companies come to ESCP and they present projects that they want you to work on. And companies are extremely diverse. You have some examples on the right. You can have some multinational groups, but you can also have startups. You can have firms in very, very different areas, like in luxury, in the industry. It can be IT. We have pretty much everything. So you will need to decide for which project you want to work. And so you will work during the entire semester on this project in a group that is very diverse in terms of nationality and background. So this is no joke. Each project is actually a real project. It's not just some exercise that they invented just to keep you busy. No, they actually rely on you to bring a solution to their problem. And this is it happened several times in the past that companies were very satisfied with our students and offered them a job at the end of the program, because they get to see how you work for several months. So that's why students have to be extremely dedicated to these company consultancy projects. And also because, our students have to stop working for 1 year, but at the end of the MBA, in the end, they add 2 professional experiences to their CV, because they did 1 company consultancy project in 1 country on the first semester and another one in the second country in the second semester. And I have to add that the project on the second semester is always on the topic of sustainability, because now it is extremely important that our students know how to handle these issues of sustainability. We have a career service that's fully dedicated to our students. So we have career services on all of our campuses. And yes, we have a lot of job opportunities for our students, and we have people who can coach them, organize workshops, organize interviews. We have some career fairs. Some of them can be in person, some of them can be online. So yes, everything is done so that our students can meet recruiters very early on in the program, and then obviously find a job at the end of the MBA. So yeah, I've talked already a little bit about the network, 68,000 members worldwide. So this is very important for you to actually make sure that you make the most of your studies at ESCP. So the Alumni Association organizes a lot of events, they offer a lot of jobs. They can offer coaching. It's obviously crucial for a school to have a very solid alumni network, and this is the case at ESCP. So here are a few figures about the employment report for the MBA. I'm not going to read all the figures, but you have, yes, here an idea of the average salary after the MBA. You can see one figure that's very important is that 84% of our students have a very big change in their career, either in terms of sector, function, of country, and almost 90% of them work in international environments. I mean, when you decide to do an MBA, usually that's because you really want a change in your career. You really want to boost your career. So here, like, we can really prove that it actually works here. And so yes, the average salary is 110,000 US dollars. It can obviously be very different from one country to another and from one sector to another. And on the right side of the screen, you can see a few companies that hired our students. So yes, in very different sectors and areas of expertise. So we pretty much send our students everywhere in very big positions. When you want to apply for the MBA at ESCP, you will need a few requirements. So the first one is a bachelor or a master degree in any discipline. You will need at least 3 years of work experience. The average, like for people in the class, is currently 6 years of work experience. So yes, we ask for a minimum of 3 years of work experience. We could accept people with only 2 years if they are extremely mature and they really know exactly why they want to do an MBA. So we can have a look at these kinds of students. And obviously you need to be proficient in English because the courses are going to be 100% in English. So this is like, the process is pretty straightforward. I mean, this is an online application. Well, you will need like documents that you always need to show for such application. So your CV or your transcripts, all of this. If you have an admissions test, a GMAT or equivalent, it's better. And also, if you have an English test, if this is not your mother tongue, here you have some indications of on the levels that we want. If you do not have an English test, you can sit one of our home tests. And then if you're selected, you will be invited for an online interview. So that's, yes, like the dean, the director of studies, and some business professionals can ask you questions about your projects, why you want to do an MBA, and why, especially at ESCP. So some figures about the fees. The tuition fees for the next intake in September of 2022 are 47,000 euros. The application fee is of 180. We do offer a lot of scholarships for our candidates. So we have some scholarships going up to 15,000 euros with like the MBA Pioneer Award, which is almost like, let's say, like similar to an early bird, going up to 2,500 euros, some other grants. So yes, we do encourage like all profiles, all like academically excellent profiles to apply, because we really want, like, yes, we really want them to apply and follow their dream of attending an MBA. So this is why we offer such scholarships. And obviously, you also have to research yourself what kind of scholarships your own government can allocate for your studies. Like we usually have like a few ideas, like we know of some organizations that can provide scholarships, but you also have to do your own research. So if you have questions, if you want to apply for the program, your contact would be our head of recruitment, Isabel Pena. So you have here her email address, her phone number. Zoranitsa, I think we can put it maybe in the chat so that everyone can see it once I stop sharing my screen. I think this is all. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen now. Okay. I can see. Okay, so there's already. So we will answer questions at the end of the presentation. So maybe we can move on a little bit and yes, I would like to talk to Erica. Like Erica, I would like you to, yes, introduce yourself and Yeah, first of all, introduce yourself and tell us what you're doing right now.
Thank you, Ellen. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm actually currently the Director of Climate Change and Sustainability Services at EY Philippines, or here we call it SGV, if you see the logo there. And I'm also a part-time management professor at De La Salle University, which is in Manila. And I focus on topics like social entrepreneurship, circular business models, as well as sustainability. And I guess they've already mentioned it earlier that before joining and working in these organizations, I recently just completed the MBA program a couple of months back. And I was able to work on various sustainability consulting projects on renewable energy and sustainable packaging in London and Paris. So in terms of like background, I've had experiences around 9 years of work experience in sales, marketing and communications, social entrepreneurship, and business development in FMCG, telecommunications, as well as nonprofit sectors in the Philippines. So back in 2016, I actually started my own social enterprise. And basically, this was the trigger and the spark that made me really want to look at sustainability in more detail and also much more closely. Because I don't know if you're familiar, but my country, the Philippines, were severely impacted by the effects of climate change. We actually have around 20 hurricanes per year, and it's really devastating when it comes to economic impact as well as agriculture and so on. So that's why I'm very much into solving this issue, hopefully. And that's why I took a role also with EY Philippines because I really wanted to be part of the solution.
So working in this area of sustainability, climate change, was this the reason why you wanted to do an MBA?
Yes, actually, before the MBA, I mentioned earlier that I was in like doing different things as well, and I wanted to basically do a career shift and really focus on sustainability. So with that, I also realized that I would need to have a more global perspective. And I think the program that the MBA in International Management was a right fit for me. And I also have future plans to live in France, actually. So a lot of those things, career, personal, they all converge together. And that made me decide to actually take part in the MBA program. And then why, I guess, ESCP? Couple of things as well. First, I was very fortunate to actually have interns before that worked on my social enterprise. So these were MIM students, Master in Management students, that came to the Philippines for like 2 weeks. They did consulting projects for me for my social enterprise, and I was really floored and amazed by their output. So in terms of like credibility, yeah, that's good. So it made me want to like, be part of that pool of graduates. And then there are a couple of other things that made me choose the school. It's because it's only 10 months and my husband is actually based here in the Philippines. So I thought, okay, 10 months of living apart, that's not as bad as, a year or 2 years. So that was pretty cool. And at the same time, I get to do it in two different countries. So two different major cities in Europe. So it made me, like it checks the global perspective. And then finally, as what Ellen mentioned earlier, uh, you you actually become a consultant and you actually get to work with companies on sustainability projects. So career shift towards sustainability, that pretty much solves it as well.
All right. Can you tell us on which campuses you studied? So like for the main classes and also for your electives.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
On which campuses you studied? So during the whole year, like the two main campuses and also your electives.
Yeah, for Well, what I did was I first took my first semester at the London campus, and we were fortunate because it was the, during the pandemic, right? Um, we were pretty fortunate that at the start of the first semester, we were going to campus maybe like 3 times a week, if I remember it correctly. So we would have classes online. I actually saw the question in the chat earlier, so I'd like to probably respond to it as well. Um, it also varies because we also had some classes online. That's because some of our professors were pretty much stuck in their own countries. And because of the restrictions, they weren't able to fly, or it's um, doing the quarantine is quite tedious. So therefore, we had some professors also that were doing the classes online. So we pretty much had like a hybrid model. And then for the second semester, I took it in Paris, and it was also face to face. Like we would really go to classes, and we did have the curfew, so less parties after, less get-togethers. But I guess at towards the end, the country or the city, the country, yeah, France, pretty much opened up, so we were able to at least have that. And some of our cohorts. They were also able to travel to Paris, to Madrid, to do the different electives. So it was like a nice ending for our school year.
Yes, so concerning online classes, yes, so the MBA in general is an in-person program. Like this is, we want people to come. Last year, we just had to do online classes when we had to, when the government was forcing us, let's say, to do online classes, or when we had like issues with traveling, because yes, we usually have professors traveling from one country to another, but it was not really by choice. It was really because we had to, because the situation made it so that we had to. So we're hoping that the situation is going to improve. I mean, it's not a goal of ours to have online classes. I think this was certainly like the question that was being asked. Erica, do you have maybe a few tips for concerning application for candidates? Like if you meet someone who wants to apply for an MBA, what could you tell them concerning like the preparation of their application?
Maybe what I can share would be like based on my experience, like when I did it. I remember that when I first did the application for the ESCP MBA program, I didn't really have that mindset of, I'm gonna be a student again, and I need to be able to work under like timed conditions, especially when there's tests. So I think I did really bad when I did the test because when you're working, you're not really timed, especially when you're like output based, right? So it adds to the pressure. So I guess it would be great if you get to practice doing some practice tests online. That's going to be helpful. I also forgot my basic algebra. So
Yeah,
that's
so
pretty
this test, like this logic test, GMAT, for example, you really have to, yes, to get ready, like to prepare them. It's not something that's so obvious. You have to prepare them. Before applying for ESCP, did you manage to get in touch with former students, maybe?
Yes, I actually looked for students that were from the Philippines that also took the MBA program, and I reached out to them. I connected with them on LinkedIn, and they were pretty much able to answer most of my questions as well. So I think that's helpful if you do have some contacts. I believe there's also like ambassadors for the MBA program, and you can reach out to them. And yes, they'll be able to help
I think this is one of the best ways. Obviously, you can contact like the school's administration, like the email address that I showed at the end of the presentation. But we strongly also encourage you to get in touch with our student ambassadors. Their contacts are on the website. I mean, they are the best representatives, and they can really dedicate a little bit of time to answering your questions. I mean, they were new shoes before, so that's also why they offered to be ambassadors. Okay, maybe can you tell us a little bit about like how, like during the MBA, what happened? Like, I was talking about the diversity of the cohort. Like, can you tell us a little bit about how it was for you? What kind of nationalities you had, maybe?
If I remember it correctly, I think we were around 23 or 24 different nationalities, and we were quite spread across like different campuses as well. So since we also come from different nationalities, working with them was quite interesting because you really get to see the culture popping out, especially in like group bubbles or CCP. So there were some extremely tense moments, but
Mhm.
I think it made the entire experience also all the more enriching because you get to really learn um, how people think. And at the same time, you add to that diverse nationality the diversity of industries. Like
Yeah.
I remember we were working with a lot of people from the banking sector, finance, also education, healthcare, sales and marketing background, as well as entrepreneurship, engineers, people from the nonprofit organizations, IT, and each of these, I guess, uh, experiences made people think a certain way. So sometimes when you're like creative, like for me, I am speaking as a creative person. Sometimes it's pretty difficult to also talk to people that are in finance, for example. And you see that in organizations, it's also pretty similar. Like um, marketing needs a certain budget, and then finance need to cut costs. So it's really interesting. Like the entire experience was amazing because I got to really understand that people also, no matter how different people are, at the end of the day they're also pretty much the same. Like they enter the MBA. All of us enter the MBA because we wanted to further advance our careers, learn from each other, and if you do have that goal as well, it creates like a beautiful teamwork altogether.
Yeah. So you just mentioned like the company consultancy projects. Like, can you tell us a little bit more about the one that you did on the London campus, the one that you did on the Paris campus? Like, which companies, what kind of sector, like the questions that you had to solve?
Yeah, okay. So first, in terms of my company consultancy project in London, I basically was part of a group of 4 people. So we are 4 in the team, and the 3 were basically men. So the reason why I'm saying this is because the project was in the topic on renewable energy, and to be able to be part of the consultancy project, people actually have to apply. So what happens is that the school or the clients, they do a presentation for like a half a day, and
Can you
then
hold your mic? Can you hold your
oh
mic?
sorry.
Sorry.
So the clients, they do a presentation for half a day, and then the students have an idea on what are the different companies that do have, and what are the different asks for the project, and then you get to sign up. So you have to like pick 2 or 3, for example, and then the school will then um, put you based on maybe your background, based on your relevance to the project, like what skills you can offer, especially to the client, and also how much you want to be part of the project. So in my team, since it's in the renewable energy sector, I guess it's not really a very female dominated industry. So there were like less female that applied to this project. And for me, the reason why I applied to this is because hey, it's related to sustainability, and I really wanted to understand this part of sustainability. So I had a really great working experience in this project. Um, we were able to really like understand who are the key players that are investing in the real estate um, uh, industry as well, aside from renewable energy. And our client at the end of the day was very very happy. So that was really a very interesting project for me. And then in the Paris campus, on the other hand, it was like not really complete opposite, but it was mostly female in my team, because we were part of a consulting project with Maison Cartier, which is the sponsor. So it's the luxury industry, and the reason I chose this project is because I really like to the topic, which is on sustainable packaging. So I'm very much into circular economy, and when I heard about this topic, I said, okay, I want to be part of that team. So we were six, so there were like four female, two guys from like different continents in the world. So it also got a bit tense at some point, because each of us have different ideas as well. But at the end of the day, we were also very, very lucky that our client, right after the presentation in school, they asked us to maybe go visit their office. So they invited us to present to their vice president because they really believed in this project and they were very impressed with our output. So we were able to do a one full presentation with them at the headquarters in Paris. And yeah, it was amazing. It happened on the 31st of August. So that was really after the MBA. So we still did work.
Right?
but but it was really for an amazing project, and I believe that they were very very happy with the output, and that's why they've continued to partner also with the school. So yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, this really sounds amazing. Two very different projects and two like very prestigious experiences that you add on your CV. I mean, even though you technically stopped working for 1 year, you don't really stop. I mean, as you said, like you finished on like in the very last day of August. So yes, like we repeat, it's an intense program where you have to follow your classes, but also be very active on your consultancy projects. And yes, as I said, like we have students who get hired for these kinds of projects. I have like just at the top of my head, I have like one example of one student who was doing a company project for Orange on the like the telecommunication firms on the London campus, and he was hired right after his MBA, even before the end of the MBA, he knew that he was hired by Orange. So yes, that's why you have to be very involved in these projects. During your MBA, you founded the Women in Leadership Society. Can you tell us what this is? Why you felt the need to found such a society?
Yeah. So last August of 2020, so that was the pre semester that we had. Our president back then, her name is Camila, she was the one who approached me to kind of form Women in Leadership Society. So it was basically her idea because she was awarded the Women in Leadership Scholarship. And so she believed that it's good to also give back and pay it forward. So with that, we started brainstorming about what Women in Leadership Society will be all about. And we were able to really focus on three different pillars that we wanted to push forward. So we were thinking of pushing for inclusivity, since we are a very diverse program in the MBA. So it should be inclusive. We were also championing the pillar on gender advancement as well as sustainability. So over the past year, I guess, um, this is what we've built. We talked to the administration, of course, so that like how do we form a society, because it wasn't really existing back then. It was more of an idea that the executive MBA students wanted to put up, but they didn't really have the time. So it just made perfect sense. So we teamed up also with some alumni from the executive MBA program to form the board of directors. And then we decided that, okay, this society will not just be in ESCP, but we also want to involve the business community. Because again, at the end of the day, we need inclusive leaders, inclusive leadership, so that there won't be any other tensions and issues, especially in the workplace. So yeah, and we've been organizing events for the past year on our three different pillars on inclusivity, gender advancement, and sustainability. Uh, and personally, my role was I was the co-founder and vice president and branding and communications director. And aside from that, since we were a very lean team, the leadership team was composed of some of our MBA classmates as well, and some bachelor and master students. Um, we really did a lot of bootstrapping because it is kind of like a startup, I would say. And we, like for me personally, my role or my goal after the MBA program was to really uh, broaden and expand my network when it comes to the field of sustainability in Europe. So what I did was I championed the pillar on sustainability, and I also took on a role as an events director. So I created an event on sustainability because I believe that this Women in Leadership Society is also a platform for people to really meet and connect with these shared values and these shared purposes. And aside from that, it also gave us uh, sisterhood, because we were really we made a place, like a safe place for people to discuss these topics, these issues without any judgment or anything. So yeah, pretty much it's been amazing. Like it's really one of the highlights of my MBA program, being able to be part of this, and then also being runner up for the Graduate Business Leadership Award. So, who knew that after just 8 months of starting Women in Leadership, we were already like the second place out of like 50 MBA schools in the world. So, like, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's an amazing experience. I mean, like, yeah, it's incredible what students can create when they really like put their heart into it. I mean, no, this is a great project that you co-founded, and will like live on. Like you will have like new generations of students working for this society.
Yeah.
I have like one last question, because before we can move on to the Q&A part, I would like to talk about your current position. So you are working for Ernst & Young in the Philippines. I would like you to remind us of your exact title, and tell us how the MBA helped you reach this position.
Okay, so I'm currently the director of climate change and sustainability services in EY Philippines. So basically, what we do is we advise our clients on non-financial reporting and assurance. We also advise them on climate change and energy, sustainability, social impact, environment, health, and safety, as well as sustainable finance. So we do have a lot of different projects, engagements with clients. So I'm also um, part of the team that does all these engagements and assurance, but at the same time, I also work alongside the consultancy arm of EY Philippines. So with that, what I was able to actually get out of the MBA that made me, I guess, land this job, it's because of, well, I've mentioned some of them earlier already. First is, of course, the company consultancy projects on sustainability. Those were very, very helpful because I did it in London. I also did it in Paris, and both have like different fields as well. One is on energy, and the other one is on circular economy packaging. So those broadened my scope when it comes to capabilities and exposure. And then second, I would like to actually give thanks to my financial and accounting professors. They were amazing, like especially the ones in London. They were able, because one of the things that we are working on is non-financial reporting, and now we see in the space of investors and the ESG, they are actually demanding um, these companies to connect the non-financial reports with their financial reports. So how do you then connect, let's say, a CSR project with what's the direct impact to the overall enterprise value of a company? And all these I actually pretty much learned or relearned in the MBA, and my professors were amazing. So that, together with the elective on financial reporting, that was pretty helpful. It made me, use the usual finance terms, especially when we talk to clients, and it really builds up the credibility as well. I also really like the elective on social entrepreneurship because we were also given tools such as social return on impact. How do you measure that? Again, how do you measure the impact and relate it to financial performance of a company? And then finally, I'd also like to, like, what our professor for sustainability and CSR course in Paris is amazing. He's like a guru. His name is Professor Aurelia. And he also introduced really amazing tools like the LCA, or the life cycle analysis, that is pretty much helpful when it comes to trying to understand and solve the supply chain issue of a company. How do you green the supply chain? You look at the different aspects of the value chain, and then you try to decarbonize each of these aspects. So a lot of these, I was able to have an introduction or a glimpse of some of these topics. We did do some case studies as well that kind of piqued my interest even more. And then after that, I basically did a lot of like in-depth research also, just to build up on these. And then eventually that helped me land my job. And I'm very, very happy. I'm like, every day that I work, I feel that I'm really doing my purpose. So yeah, it's pretty great.
This is great. I mean, this is a great success story, and this is, yeah, you're a good like proof of why people should do an MBA. Like, it really enables you like to get into a new sector that you like. So no, this is like, everyone's like, the whole MBA team is very proud of you, very proud of all our students. But yes, very proud of you, Erica, and yes, very proud to see like how this program, which is still quite a young program, it was launched only a few years ago, and it helped you like reach this dream position for you. I mean, like, we're obviously very, very happy about this. Okay, so as Zarnitz, I can see that you're back. Should we move on? We have a little bit of time for a few questions. In case we don't have time for all the questions at the end of the session, maybe Zarnitz, you can send them to me, and our recruiters can answer those questions per email. Or also, maybe we can put in the chat like the I can see if this was already written down, like the email address. I can write it down in the chat. That's mba@escp.edu. There you go. It should be.
Yeah, it's here. MBA Paris@escp.eu.
Yes, I don't know if you can get it right. I think it's only for visible for us. All right. Okay, so Lisa, do you have a few questions for us?
Yeah, actually, you managed to answer some of the questions, or at least a few aspects of them, but I would like to briefly go to them again. So, Erika, you mentioned that you explained to us so many things that you have learned during the classes. So, are there some things that you have learned outside the MBA classroom, maybe in your communication with your peers or with your professors? Some things that you'd like to share with us.
Yes, what I've also realized a lot during the MBA is that you need to network a lot, especially when you're already sure of what industry you want to join in. So it helps to really connect with alumni or even the different societies, because each of the different societies, they also do a lot of different events. They invite speakers who are practitioners in a specific field. So it would be helpful to really just go and, be an extrovert for you to be able to build that network, even though you're an introvert. So yeah, the networking is definitely a must that you should do, be it online or face to face. Now, whoever for the next batch of the MBA, I definitely think it would be face to face, and a lot of the events would be face to face, which is much more impactful, I believe. And you guys are actually pretty lucky.
Sure. Thanks, Erica. Well, for sure, the participation in different societies is part of this networking process. You told us a lot about the Women Leadership Society. Are you aware of other societies people will be able to join at ESCP?
Yeah, there are actually quite a lot of different societies at ESCP. Some are started by the MBA, while some were started by the master students or the bachelor students. So it depends basically on what you really want to do. There are some societies that are focused on consulting, so you can look at them, join them. There are some societies that are focused mostly on sustainability, like greening the environment. And then there are some societies that are more into traveling. They're also in terms of advocacy. I remember that there's a UNICEF ESCP as well. So there are actually quite a lot of student societies, and it also helps that like when you join or when you pick a campus, I guess you get to ask what are the societies that are founded in that campus, because at least you can directly get involved with them.
And if case there aren't any of your interest, you have the freedom to found them yourself.
Exactly.
Great. Well, there was one general but interesting question. Probably Ellen will be able to answer that. From your point of view, are the MBA career paths becoming more diverse with the time?
So I can't speak for other schools. I mean, like I can only speak for ESCP. So there are some trends. I mean, we do have, for example, a lot of students that work in consulting after the MBA or start their own firms. These are big trends because these are sectors that recruit a lot, and consulting also enables students to discover different sectors. So these, I don't know if from this point of view, it becomes much more diverse, but the sectors are extremely diverse. And we talked about it when we were talking about the company consultancy projects. Like we have companies so going from startups to multinational groups from all types of sectors coming here. Like not all of our students are going to work in the luxury industry or in the IT industry. We really encourage them to discover different sectors and apply to different sectors. So yes, like for example, it starts first with the CCP, so that students can discover sectors that they have not worked in before. And yes, it continues later on with like when they find a job. I mean, like we have like list, like I think there was a slide with a few examples of companies where our students, MBA students, have ended up. It's very, very diverse. So at least on this level, it is extremely diverse. We really want students to discover new sectors and to step outside of their comfort zone, if I may say. And yes, because the goal of the MBA is also to open your minds to new sectors, to new people. So yes, it is obviously very diverse.
Thanks, Ellen. Well, one last question to Erica. I think you already mentioned a few things, but yet, what were the most important aspects you considered when choosing the program and the business school? I believe you mentioned the sustainability orientation.
Yeah.
Was there, for instance, the location a factor, or I don't know, rankings or other things that you had in mind?
Yeah, I guess like how I did it for me is I basically plotted out what I wanted to do, like right after the program. So I looked beyond the program, that this is my goal. And then after that, I then took the steps backwards just to see what's going to make me reach that goal. So a lot of the different factors then fell into place, like how long the program is going to last, just because, in terms of like personal relationship, I cannot really be that far away for too long. There's also the factor on, again, changing career paths, and then the being global, like having that global perspective, having that global exposure. So, and to be able to have that, I believe the best thing was to really experience it. So either through the company consultancy project, and also to be able to live in two different cities in just a few months, right? So what's more global than that? And then you get to work with two different companies as well. So yeah, it basically depends on what you really want to achieve, right? Or what's your expectation after the MBA program, and then maybe work backwards, and then everything will then fall into.
We can hear you, Erica.
Hello?
Yes, okay.
Yeah. So there's also the budget to consider, as well as the rankings, of course. Hello? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. No, I just saw that my connection is unstable right now. Okay. Yeah. So So as I mentioned, it again, it really depends on what you expect after the program.
All right, thank you very much, Erica, for answering this question and all other questions and your entire presentation. Thanks, Ellen. I guess we have helped our attendees to get this impression of the MBA in International Management at ESCP and all the global experience that it provides. Thanks a lot. I will send you a recording of this session so that you can review it again and find everything that you need. And I hope to see you soon.